Okay, so we're going to start with the IFSM 201 PowerPoint assignment and follow through creating some basic slides and a little bit of the formatting that's probably important in real-life presentations. So I've done some of the pre-typing so that you don't have to sit and watch me laboriously hunt and peck. But our basic presentation is going to contain 5 different slides, including a title slide, a bullet overview slide, one graph, which is like a chart slide, one smart art graphic, and a summary slide. Now, when I talk about starting with a title slide, I'm not talking about just typing something that looks like a title. The layout of the actual slide is important because later when we apply a design or a theme, the format for a title slide is different than the format for every other type of slide. So make certain that your first slide is a title slide, and in fact, when you start a presentation in PowerPoint, by default, the first slide is set to a title slide layout. So I've got my first slide as a title slide, and this is by me, and it's currently February 2016. Right? So my title slide over and done with. The second type of slide that we're looking at is an overview slide. Now that's going to be a bulleted slide with at least 2 different layers, level 1 and level 2 bullets, which are the primary important bullets and the secondary less important bullets. And in fact, if I were to start a brand new slide and just click on the word new slide, by default, the layout that I get allows me to insert a number of different objects, a table, the chart that I mentioned, we're going to have a slide 3, the smart art that I mentioned, we're going to have a slide 4. You can also throw in pictures and videos and so on and so forth, or you can just begin typing. And as I mentioned before, level 1, that's the most important level of bullet. When you hit enter, you automatically get another one, and enter. And you can either use tab to demote, or you can use the increase list level. And each demotion makes it less important. Each promotion, which you can do again using the button up here, or shift tab, makes it more important. So a sub bullet is a slightly less important bullet, and so on and so forth. All right, so you get the idea of what the layout looks like. Now I can delete that and go back to my own slide. So the basic rule for presentation, give them an overview at the beginning that's going to tell them what you're going to tell them. Then throughout the presentation you tell them, and then at the very end with a review or a summary, you tell them what you just told them. By the 3rd repetition, people begin to really comprehend the material. That's kind of a basic strategy for creating presentations. So I've created my bullet slide, my overview. My first bullet is going to describe what I've got on slide 3, which is going to talk about our profit. My second primary bullet is going to talk about whatever I've got on slide 4. And my final bullet, my 3rd primary level bullet, is going to talk about whatever I've got on slide 5, my summary slide. So I'm looking for primary level bullets and sub-bullets. That's a little bit about what we've got. And by the way, you can rearrange things, drag things up and down. As you can see, put that down here at the bottom, and put it back up here in the middle. And that's a lot easier than cut and paste and copy and paste. All right, so bulleted slide done. The next slide I have to create is the chart, the graph slide. And as I mentioned before, I could have started a new slide, chosen a graph, chosen the type of graph that I wanted. The default clustered column is perfectly fine. And then it would open up an area where I could type in the data. So I could have here like week 1 and week 2 and week 3. And you'll notice that if I come over here, it doesn't give me a place for week 4. If I wanted week 4, I'd have to expand it by dragging over to get an extra week 4. Right? I don't right now, in fact. And I've got category 1, so this is the first thing that I'm selling, and more things, and some stuff that I'm selling. And if I don't want the data down here at the bottom, when I got excited, I put this in the wrong place. Let me put my more things there. And put my stuff over here. Good, okay. And yes, I do. If I don't want this category 4 stuff, just deleting it doesn't make a difference. What that does is it leaves a big empty spot over here at the very bottom right-hand corner of my chart. If you don't want that extra space, you actually, again, have to resize the data range to get rid of it, all right? So you can put your numbers in, and as you know, yeah, the data updates immediately. So we don't need to worry too much about creating the data. I'm sure that you've got a hand on that. You could also import it from Excel, but again, probably not something we need to worry about right now. I'd like you to remember that switch row and column works the same way in PowerPoint that it worked in Excel. All right, so I'm done with my bogus chart here. Instead, my real chart has the 3 last quarters and the amount of money made in each category. Chart title is a silly thing to have up here, so I'm going to put 2015 revenue. All right, so that's a little bit about the column chart. All right. The next type of slide that I have to create is going to contain a smart art graphic. Now, smart art is just a sexier way of doing bulleted lists or other types of grouped lists. In fact, let me go back and add a new slide and click on smart art so that you can see all of the different types of lists that you've got. So this is a fabulous way of representing what would be traditional bullets or start, middle, and end, kind of a process proceeding from the beginning to the end, a cycle where there is no end, like the system development life cycle, around and around and around. And in fact, if I were to throw one of those in, you can see it allows you to type in step 1 analysis, and so on and so forth. All right, so we've got our basic idea of a smart art graphic here. I don't need this one because I've already chosen a process diagram to talk about what it is we want to do first, and then what we want to do next, and finally this is what we want to do. There's my smart art graphic. And finally, the tell them what you just told them list. It's another bulleted list, so you know how to do bulleted lists already. Now let's go back and add a little bit more to make this. You've got the body of the presentation, you've got the content. That's the hard part, or it's supposed to be the hard part. Formatting and the extra design kind of things, that's the quick and easy stuff we do at the end. So the first formatting and design step that I want to look at, I want to choose what's called a design template. In other versions, it's called styles or themes. I'm going to hit the design tab of the ruler bar up here, and the themes, you've got a variety of different themes. What those do, as you point at them, they show you what the formatting is going to be. So it gives you different background designs, and while you're at it, it formats the other slides. Notice that the layout here is slightly different. This has got some graphics on the right-hand edge. That means that every slide in the presentation will have those same graphics except the title slide. The title slide doesn't have those on the right-hand side because it's a different layout. So you can apply a design theme. It changes the font color, the font size. It changes the bullets to all match. In fact, if I don't like this particular one, I might want to choose this green one here. It changes the font color, font size, the chart colors, the graphics colors, and all those other things all at the same time. So I've chosen a design theme, and that's what I needed to do. The second thing I'd like to do, I'd like to go ahead and apply a special bullet. Now, I know in advance, because I tried this right before we began recording here, that the one that I want, mysteriously, is not available in the particular version of PowerPoint that I'm using. So if you're using a different version of PowerPoint, for example, in the lab, it's either 2010, I think it might be 2010 that's installed. I'm using Office 365 that came with the class, so I've got, I think it's Office 2016 going on right now. And in this, I should be able to click on the bullets, drop down. In fact, let me choose the whole outside box so that I've got them all at the same time. I should be able to drop this down and choose bullets and numbering. And in the version of PowerPoint that I'm using on my other machine, if I choose Customize, I get a drop-down list of fonts that includes things like webdings and wingdings. In fact, you can see in my old version, I could use little keyboards as one of the bullet points that I'm using. Now, webdings and wingdings aren't available in the particular version that I'm using now. I could have also used Picture, and it's going to go out and ask me to either browse for a picture here or to search. Let me look for mouse here. If I search for a mouse here, it searches the web and brings up pictures, and in fact, it talks here about these are all Creative Commons license. These are all pictures that in theory are perfectly fine to use for a homework presentation. If you wanted to know more about that, you could click and it'll take you out to look at the rules on copyright. But we've already talked about copyright in another class, so let's go ahead and just bring this back up. I don't particularly like any of these pictures, so let me go ahead and put one in and then decide that I don't really like it. Yeah, those are really hard to see. Let me see, if I go back to formatting them, bullets and numbering, I can increase the size to maybe 110% of the text. See if that looks any better. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's a special bullet, so it's met the goal, even though it's not quite what I'm hoping for. I like the little green ones, in fact, better. But I'm going to leave it there for now. So I've added my special bullets. I'm supposed to insert clip art or pictures on the surface of at least 2 of my slides. So let's go ahead and throw in some clip art. I'm going to insert, and on the insert tab, I could use, let's see, if I choose pictures, it's going to give me something on my local machine. If I choose online pictures, again, I'm going to get the Bing image search. Must be my default one here. And I'm going to choose maybe, is there anything that looks like a computer mouse that's more fun? Well, that can't be Creative Commons. Somebody's made a mistake there. All right. So we can choose a nice little mouse, not the one in the lab rat glove. Let's choose this nice little mouse and insert him. All right. So I've got a little mouse, and I'm going to put him down here in the bottom left-hand corner of my slide. Make him a little bit larger. So we've got our one of our clip arts. I could also insert, and under insert, I could choose shapes, and I could put in, I don't know, little stars. Oops. And you could change the fill color and so on and so forth. Again, inserting things from clip art, the drawing toolbar, etc., on at least 2 different slides. So we could throw one on there, and I could throw another picture on here. So you've got the idea of how to do that. And let's go with, in fact, let's not go on my local machine, because you never know what's on my local machine. Let's go back to online pictures, and we'll do one more mouse. And we'll throw in a nice human mouse. All right, insert. There we go. And we'll resize it. And maybe shift it over just a little bit. Oops. In fact, one of the things that I might like to do, can I do that? Let me go ahead and have a look really quickly on the format of this particular picture. I should be able to remove the background. No, I don't like that one. Can I go to, I'm looking for Make Transparent. Where did it go? Aha, Set Transparent Color. That's the one I want. And I want to set that transparent so that the background kind of comes through the picture. That's what I was looking for. All right, so there we go. Pictures inserted. The next thing I'd like to be able to do, I need to be able to use action buttons and a hyperlink. Well, the hyperlink happened, in fact, automatically. When I typed themousepad.com and I hit space or enter, it automatically makes it a hyperlink. So you can insert a hyperlink very, very easily by typing something that looks like a web address. You could also select a word. I'm going to choose community, and I can right-click, should be able to right-click, and choose hyperlink, and I could put in, like, the town hall. Town hall at localcommunity.gov. and tell it okay. And that's also going to be a hyperlink, and if somebody clicked on it, it would open up an email to the town hall at the localcommunity.gov. So inserting hyperlinks, easy enough to do by either typing it or right-clicking and choose hyperlink. An action button, on the other hand, is a little bit different. And this says, please use an action button to jump to the first slide in the show. So assuming we get to the end and somebody says, wow, that was so fantastic, we're dying to see it again, without exiting the actual presentation, we insert, and it should be, is it under, here we go, action. I'm going to choose an action button, and action on click, I want it to hyperlink to, and I can pick where I want it to go. So it can go to another PowerPoint presentation, to a web page, etc., etc. I'm going to go to the very first slide and tell it okay. Now, where did that go? I didn't see it. Let me undo that. If I choose, give the selected object an action. Aha. Used to be that there was a button itself that you put in that was an action button. All right, well, in which case, I'm going to choose that picture that I put in of the mouse, put it in here. There used to be pre-selected action buttons. It's not under there anymore. Basic shapes. Oh, you know what? I bet it is. I bet it's way down here at the bottom. Ha! Let me undo that. All right, so on slide 5, let me choose to insert a shape and scroll all the way down to the bottom. The first slide action button is often either the home button, because this by default is previous slide. This one by default is very first slide, so you could use that one, or you could use the home button. Let me go ahead and choose the first button. There we go. And by default, that's going to hyperlink to the first slide. So that's not a bad thing to know about. Tell it okay. All right, so we've got our action button in there. Now, you can click all you want on it. It's not going to do anything until you actually play the presentation. But that little box is ticked, and we'll have a look at it in just a minute. Create speaker's notes. Now, I want a minimum of 1 complete sentence for each slide. The speaker's notes are down here. You don't always see them very well because they're kind of hidden behind the scenes. And in fact, when you play your presentation, you won't see them. But when we print our notes pages for use for us to use while we're giving the presentation in real life, these come in very, very handy. So this is a place to add details and welcome, and you could put in here the names of the attendants, Dr., Big Shot, Madam, let's go with, instead of, that sounds like so, Professor, Guru, and committee members. All right. So for each individual slide, so here I've mentioned, for example, the sales of parts and programs are a small part of the current revenue. Note, sales figures here larger because they include parts used in service calls and repairs. Okay, there we go. So one solid note for every slide in the presentation. So here I'm just going to write stuff and more stuff. You're going to spend more time on your notes because it's an assignment for you. And step 1 through step 3 will take approximately 4 months, and then thank you for your time and attention. Okay. So my notes are in there. That's a good thing. And just a couple things more. In order to be able to see those notes when I'm presenting, I'm going to rely on a paper handout. I'm going to find that under File, and under File, I should be able to save and send. So File, Save As. And under Save As, my goodness, the last version, it was called Save and Send. Interesting, interesting. What if I choose export? Here we go. In this version of PowerPoint, it's under File, Export, and I'm going to create handouts. And when I choose to create handouts, it should ask me, where do you want your notes? Do you want blank lines for your audience to be able to use to take notes and so on and so forth? I'm going to choose Notes next to Slides and tell it OK. Now that's going to create a separate document. It takes it just a second. And let me go ahead and bring up my Microsoft Word and half size it so you can see it. So here are my notes next to my slides in Microsoft Word. It's very frustrating because I'm trying to hold the camera as well. All right. As you can see, each slide is visible along with the notes side by side. So I need you to save this. This is one of the 2 files you're going to upload. I'm going to save as and put it on, most likely, it doesn't matter where I put it, Mousepad Notes. Now, it's saving it as a Word document. You obviously also have the choice of putting it as a PDF and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to save. And when I'm done, I can close it. Now, it's still converting at the moment, taking up valuable time. Let me see how many different things I can have open and confuse you. So I don't need to save document 1. Here is the Mousepad document saved as a PDF file. That's the one that I might want to upload to the assignments folder. And I'm going to close that. Which brings me back to PowerPoint. Now we're nearly done, thank the heavens. All right, 2 more things that are required. The first, now right now if I were to play this presentation, it's pretty static and boring. So it's going to think about that, she said. So step 1, down arrow, step 2, down arrow. It's very flat and static. I'm going to hit escape to take me back to my regular document. And I'm going to liven it up with 2 quick and easy things. The first, transitions. So transitions talk about how one slide changes into another. Cut just moves, fade, push, wipe, and so on and so forth. The quickest and easiest way is to choose either one particular one that you like, checkerboard, dissolve, etc., and we want to apply to all. Or you can choose random transitions. There's normally one that says random transitions. There we go. And I'm going to, again, apply to all. All right. So adding transitions, quick and easy way to liven things up. And in fact, if I go ahead and play the presentation one more time, now you can see it moving. I go to the next slide and things move. I go to the next slide and things move. Okay, so transitions, the first and easy way to liven things up. And secondly, animation. Now there are 2 types of animation that are important to me. You can add, under animations, you can add using the animation pane. I can choose item by item and add an animation. So let me add an animation. I want this one to maybe swivel in. There we go. All right, so you can choose item by item what you want to have happen, and it adds a little bit of life. Don't overdo it. Your audience will be frightened. But bullet points and charts, it helps to keep the audience's attention focused on the element that you're addressing, if not everything is on the screen at the same time. So I'm going to choose my bullets, add an animation. I like the bullets to fly in. I like them to fly in, and let me see, I want the animation effects. I want them to fly in from the left. Nope, I'm lying. I want them to fly in from the right. There we go. And I want it to happen at a different speed. So where's my option for speed? Drop that down. Timing, there we go. Effect options, there we go. So I've dropped this little arrow over here in the animation pane down and chosen the effect options. And I want it to fly in from the right. And I would like to have it happen maybe word by word, and I would like the timing not very fast. Let's go with something like a medium. And after animation, you can do it by second level paragraphs, and after animation, maybe dim. Let's dim to a slightly darker color. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Ready? Okay, so that looks like it'll be all right to me. We'll have another look at that. So we've put the bullets in. Now, the other thing that I like to have happen, I'm going to choose this chart, add an animation. I like this one to either dissolve in or fade in. Fade in's fine. But again, I'm going to drop it down. I don't want it to happen all at once, so I'm going to Effect Options, and I would like this to happen, chart animation, instead of as one object, either by element in series. Let's see what that does. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. Or instead of by element in series, let's go with by element in category. That's better. And the timing again, rather than very fast, let's go with either fast or medium and tell it okay. So we're talking about quarter 1. Here's what our hardware did. Here's what our software did. Here's what our repairs and services are like. Okay, so you get the idea. All right. Now, there are lots of other effect animations that you can choose. The only way to find out is to actually just basically try these things and see what happens. But I think that's all I need to give you as animation. Let me play it just once and see what happens. So, here's my first slide, and as I click the mouse, the first title comes in. I'm going to click again, and we move on to the second slide. So here we talk about bullet by bullet. Maybe that's a little slow. So as I click each bullet, things appear. You get the idea. Then we move on with our different chart elements. And I can talk about this as long as I want. It's not going to move on until I click the mouse again. Now you can set this up to happen instead of on a mouse click with timings as well. And there's the next one. And finally, here the action button will take you back to the first slide. And away we go. So, basic stuff is done. Just a couple more things to consider yourself home free. Now, this doesn't, by the way, take you through things like adding narration or putting a logo on the slide master. Those are all bonus items that should probably be addressed at a different time. But for today, the last thing that I require for this particular presentation is that you save as. Now, we've already exported to get the slides for this. But this time I want to save this as instead of a PPTX. Now, a PPTX, let me go ahead and put that, in fact, on my desktop. And I'm going to save it once as a PPTX. And then I'm going to save it again. And this time I'm going to save it as a PowerPoint show. And again, I'm going to put it on the desktop and call it a PowerPoint show, and I'm going to save. So here's the difference. You close this, and minimize this, and minimize this. So you should be able to see my incredibly messy desktop. Here are two different mouse pads. This one's a PPTX, this one's a PPSX. If I double-click the PPTX, the PowerPoint, regular PowerPoint presentation, it opens up PowerPoint and puts me basically into the edit mode. Instead, if I open up the PPSX, when I double-click it, it runs the show. So that's the difference between the two types. Please upload the PPSX, the PowerPoint show, and the slides, which are the slide notes, which are saved as either a PDF or a document, to the assignment folder.